Hello and welcome to the complete new player's guide for Star Citizen. It's probably gonna take a few videos to show you all the things you need to know, as well as the most effective ways to earn your first space bucks. But I think that some intermediate players could also learn a thing or two, so stay tuned. I do post pretty much daily, and there's gonna be a lot of original content because I'm a music producer and a composer or whatever, so you might as well subscribe. And if you're thinking about buying the game, you can use my referral code. It's gonna be posted down below, so it can get you a slight boost with your space bucks. So yeah, let's get started with the video. So the first thing, when you log into the game, you're gonna see this screen. On the right side, you're gonna have the friend list, and on the left side, you're gonna have the game modes. Star Marine is a FPS mode, and Arena Commander is like the ship battle mode. But you're gonna click on Persistent Universe. After doing your character customization, you're gonna be prompted with this screen, and in the top left drop-down menu, you're gonna select Stanton System and you're gonna select Lorville. After that, you will click on Visit Location. Wakey wakey! So after the loading screen, you're gonna spawn inside your bed in a hab or habitation area inside Lorville. You will exit your bed by pressing Y on your keyboard. Sometimes it's space, but it's mostly Y. After being amazed by the level of detail in a room, which you're probably not going to be in anymore ever, you're going to exit the room by holding F and clicking on the door panel. Now is probably the time to explain to you the Inner Thought system. You enter the Inner Thought system by holding F key on your keyboard, and in that way you can pretty much interact with everything in the game. But if you hold F and you right-click, you will be prompted with a menu where you can unequip or equip your helmet or interact with your character in any other way. You can go into the third-person mode by pressing F4, and you can also move the camera around by holding Z on your keyboard and moving the mouse around. Now, you may have spawned on ArcCorp or New Babbage, but every starting area is pretty much the same. You gotta find the elevator, you gotta call the elevator by pressing or holding F and clicking on it, wait for the elevator, and once you get inside the elevator, you have to click on the elevator panel and select ground floor or lobby. Once you leave the habitation area, you will probably be overwhelmed by the level design and you will probably think you're lost, but you're not. This game is really big on signs. So if you are going to the spaceport, don't you worry, there's gonna be a sign that's gonna lead you there. So now is probably the time to explain to you the main FPS controls. Of course, you move by pressing W, A, S and D, crouch is control, space is jump, and X is for going prone. But if you want to walk faster, or move at a faster pace, you should scroll up with your mouse wheel. You can also press shift to sprint, but that's probably gonna give you a heart attack after a while. I am dead serious, you will die from sprinting too much. Now that you have your controls memorized, you should proceed to the metro station so you can go to the spaceport and take your ship out for a spin. As I've said before, do not get scared, this game is really big on signs. And as you can see, the signs are also very fucking big. While you're on your way, you should probably stop and admire the NPCs that are greeting you by standing on chairs. That is the most common way of greeting people that are new to the universe. You can actually make a cult out of that. As a quick reminder, you are still going to the spaceport line, so you can retrieve your badass ship, and so you can fly around. You can do that by going to the correct train station and watch the train leaving because you were late for it. After that happens, just sit around and wait for another one. You can actually sit on every chair in this game, by holding the F key and clicking on it. Also, as you can see on the entrance to the train, or well, when the train is actually here, you can see the timer, and that timer actually tells you when the train is gonna come. Even though Lorville looks like a shithole country, as mine is, the trains will arrive on time. After boarding the train, after boarding the after boarding the train is gonna take you to the spaceport line, where you will take your badass ship for a spin. Cause if you remember, that's what you wanted to do 5 minutes ago. You might as well admire the view, cause there is nothing else to do inside the train, except maybe phasing in and out of the existence and through parallel universes. But that's a common bug, it's probably gonna get fixed at some point, probably in 5 years from now. Once you leave the train, you should go to the customs area, which will lead you to the spaceport terminals, where you can retrieve your badass ship. Also, do remember that this game is big on science and you will not get lost. And occasionally just stop and admire the NPCs greeting you. This is the vehicle retrieval console. They are always the same, and they will look the same on any station or spaceport that you're at. You probably have just one ship, and that ship is probably gonna be an Aurora or a Mustang. You should click on Retrieve button right next to your ship. Bear in mind if somebody steals your ship, and yeah, that happened to me like the first hour that I played the game, but bear in mind that you can always retrieve it. This is New Deal and you can buy ships here, but you're not gonna need it in a while, and you should probably proceed to the elevators to hangars. They are on the back side of the terminals area, and you can go to them by taking a left here and just following the signs. Of course, you have to call another fucking elevator, cause this game is also big on elevators. After waiting for the elevator for a minute, you should proceed to the hangar your ship is stationed in. Be advised that you can go to the wrong hangar or the wrong pad. It's happened a lot, and it's happened to the best of us. You can also turn around and find your ship's marker, cause it's gonna conveniently say which hangar it is in right now. Once you get inside the hangar and next to your ship, you should probably stop and admire it for a second. Cause this is probably gonna be the last time you admire it. Cause if you bought the starter pack, as I did, that ship is just a tin can. Also, you can enter the ship by holding the F key on your keyboard and clicking Enter Ship. The same goes for the pilot seat. And now is the time to teach you some basic controls of the tin can that you call a ship. Don't worry, you're gonna get a better ship in no time. You can turn your ship on in a few ways. You can hold F and click on Flight Ready, but the better and the easier way is just to hold R on your keyboard, R for Ready. If you want to shut down your ship, you can press the U key on your keyboard. Now do not press anything else before you call the air traffic control. You do this by pressing F11 and going into your friend list. The first friend on the top is gonna be the ATC or the air traffic control. The button on the right is to call the ATC so they can open up the hangar for you. After that, you're gonna press the space button slowly and you're gonna move your mouse upwards so you can see the hangars open up. Bear in mind that pressing F4 on your keyboard will take you to the third-person view, which could be handy when leaving or entering the hangars. You raise and lower your landing gear by pressing the N key on your keyboard, N as Norway. After leaving the hangar, and if you're ready to go to space, you should probably go above the altitude of 10 kilometers or 10,000 meters, so you can jump away from the planet. You can engage the quantum travel by pressing the B key on your keyboard, B as badass, and once you targeted the point you want to jump to, and once you spooled up, you can hold the B key to quantum travel to it, B as in badass. I suggest traveling to Everest Harbor right off Lorville, so you can set your spawn point over there, so if you die, you don't need to do this all over again. You do this by going close to the station, pressing F11, and calling the ATC of Everest Harbor. Bear in mind that if you want to land on a station, be it on a planet or just orbiting a planet, you should always call the ATC by pressing F11 so they can assign you a landing pad or a hangar to land in. But this time we're not gonna land, cause I still have to show you how to fly your ship. Since you probably know the basic controls, the most asked question in global chat is, why is my ship so slow? If you remember, by scrolling your mouse wheel upwards and downwards, your character was moving faster or slower. It is the same with the ships, so you can actually set up your throttle by scrolling your mouse wheel up or down. If somebody, let's say, fired a missile at you, you can drop your countermeasures by pressing H for Hurston or J for Jordan and just run the fuck away cause you're not prepared for a fight. If your ship has a VTOL mode, you can engage it by pressing K on your keyboard. K for keys. If you want to target a person, you can do that by pressing T on your keyboard. T for traitorous scum, you should probably run away because you're gonna get fucked up. If you want to lock a missile onto a player or an enemy, you can do that by pressing your middle mouse button, and if you are in range of the enemy and if the missile is locked, you can fire it by holding the middle mouse button. Bear in mind, this mechanic will change after 3.14 drops. It will pretty much be the same, but you will need to go into the missile operator mode to fire your missiles. Since this video is almost already 12 minutes long, I'm gonna touch on one more thing about the flight mechanics that you should know. By pressing C, you will go into cruise control, so you do not need to press W to speed up. By pressing Shift, you will boost. By pressing X, you will engage the space brake. By pressing V, you will go into decoupled mode, which is pretty much disengaging your inertia dampeners. If you don't want the back thrusters to overpower your side and front thrusters, you should keep your throttle and your speed at the SCM speed indicated by the little marker on the throttle gauge. The last thing I want to touch upon is the Mobiglass, and you can enter it by pressing F1. You already used it by pressing F11, and that's just the shortcut for the friends list. But by pressing F1, you can see your character's stats. In the next video, I will go through all the things you need to know about your Mobiglass. This was Grumpy Eye, welcome to Star Citizen, and see you in the verse. Da 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 da, subscribe!